Hi, this is Lance Allen with Crush'em, and right now you're probably wondering, what exactly is an audio enhanced showing? Well, I'd like to take a few minutes and explain it to you in depth. We're also going to walk through this property where we have our system in place so you can see it firsthand. I'm going to provide key information to you as to why this will be a valuable tool to you as a realtor. I'm also going to provide a few pro tips along the way. But before we go inside, I'd like to touch on three of those key elements that is fantastic about our audio enhanced showings. The benefits are endless, especially with how customizable we are. We can customize it to the exact house that you have, to your clients, whatever you want. The possibilities are endless. But three main features that I really like that our product does. One, it shows things that are not readily apparent. Now, obviously, you can walk inside a house and you can notice that it has new appliances. You can notice that it has new paint on the walls. You can notice that it has new flooring. However, you may not know that that flooring is actually 100% waterproof and has a lifetime warranty on it. Anything. And I'm going to show you several examples of that whenever we get inside. The second topic is that it can drive home information that is very important to you. Examples of that could be something like the homeowners are offering a flooring allowance or a home warranty. I mean, tell me this. How many times have you walked into a property and the carpet was terrible? Now, realtors, the listing agents obviously put it on the MLS listing. Sometimes they post it on a flyer when you walk inside. It may be in a flyer that you take home, but the ability to drive home the fact that those sellers are offering a $5,000 flooring allowance when that client is standing there on that terrible carpet is priceless. It is immediate. It's going to stick with them much better than something written on a piece of paper. That's just one simple example of that. The third element that I like is it provides an opportunity for what I guess I kind of like to call realtor instructions. An example of those realtor instructions are, for instance, here in Colorado Springs, we have an insanely hot market, and a lot of the properties are actually only being put up
for 48 to 96 hours
and only accepting offers during that time. Well, that's a super important topic to be told as those potential buyers are walking out the door. It encourages them to take action. Another benefit to that is it actually kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off of the buying agents, because sometimes the buyers feel that they're getting pressured by their agent of, you got to get the offer in, you got to get the offer in. That creates kind of a bad scenario when that's not true. Their agent is actually trying to help them get this property. Again, infinite possibilities for you, your market, your situation, your house, your clients. Our system is completely customizable to address as many of those options as possible. We would love to hear all of the benefits that you find as you find ones that we haven't even thought of. But that's enough of that. Let's get in here and see how this thing actually works. As you enter into a property, you are going to trigger a door sensor that is in turn going to turn on a video message on our tablet. What this tablet is going to do is it's going to tell you, it's going to kind of explain to the person that's viewing the property exactly what's going to go on. They are to pick up the tablet, carry it around with them through the property. As they walk through the property, it is going to trip motion sensors that will in turn play audio files on the tablet. It will also the video will also tell them that at any point in time, they can hit a replay message in case somebody didn't hear it, somebody was away looking in another room, they just want to play it again and hear exactly what it is. They're welcome to do that. And the third important thing that the video is going to tell them is to please return the tablet to the docking station before they leave the property. Now, when we were talking about being customizable outside, there's something that's very important here at the beginning that we can customize for you. Now, obviously this is a small entryway, so immediately when you enter the door, we want the video to start playing. However, you might put the tablet much further away from the door and need a few more seconds delay. You may want people to enter a property and put booties on their shoes and take a few seconds to take care of that before it starts playing and they start picking this up and moving through the property. It is completely customizable. We can adjust it to your needs. Now, before we move on, I'd like to show you a little pro tip right here with the door sensor. Now, you may have already thought about this, but obviously part of your properties that you are listing are occupied and are not occupied. Now, if the property is not occupied, this tip doesn't apply. However, if it is still occupied, this is what I like to do. I like to mount the door sensor at eye level so that when the homeowners leave the property, that is a reminder. Now, another thing you might have already thought of is if somebody's occupying this property, they don't want our sensors tripping audio files and playing nonstop while they live in that. Well, we have a solution for that. It's a simple button that all they have to do is walk to the tablet and press mute. The important thing is that when they leave their house for a scheduled showing, they need to unmute the device and wake everything back up. And that's just one extra safeguard to remind them to do that. But let's go ahead and walk through the property, and I'm going to discuss a couple of key elements before we get into the details. And one is this property was actually built in 1898. So there are some very unique questions that will be asked about this property as opposed to being asked about a house that was built in the 90s. You guys know that. There's different questions for different size houses, different ages of houses, and you can address those with our audio enhanced services here. And another thing that I'd like to talk to you about is if you'll take a look over here to the mantle, there is actually a sensor already placed there. Now, in a real house, in a real scenario, that sensor would have tripped immediately. Once I would have entered into here, that sensor would have triggered an audio file to play on the tablet. However, we have it set up so that it won't. I will manually do this just so that it's not tripping while I'm trying to discuss other topics with you. And while we have this sensor here, we're going to come back and discuss what it would actually play, but I do want to point a couple things out about this. These sensors can be set down on anything that you'd like, on a mantle, on the floor, on a table, on the countertops, anywhere that you would like. They are also magnetic on the back, so you could stick it to a refrigerator, dishwasher, anything that you would like. You can also use adhesive backing and stick it to the wall, but that's something to keep in mind as we're traveling through here. I have those set up in all the different scenarios for you, but we'll come back to this topic here. Let's move into the first bedroom. And as we're entering into this first bedroom, I'd like to discuss something with you. Now, if you take a look at this room, there's nothing special about this. What you see is what you get. So there's not really anything that we would specifically highlight in this room that's not readily apparent. But this provides an excellent opportunity for us to install a sensor to talk about a generic topic. And by generic, I don't mean generic to everybody. I mean kind of generic in this house that we don't have to have it specifically placed right next to the item. Like we are not specifically talking about the refrigerator, so we need the device right next to the refrigerator. This is just kind of a random one that we space out through the house that is great, that you will space to create a nice flow. You don't want to stack all the sensors right on top of each other on one end of the house and nothing on the other end of the house. It makes perfect sense as you're doing it. But in this property, one thing that this would be a great use is somebody may enter into this property, and as I said, it was built in 1898, and we are in Colorado. So what are people going to think? When I sleep in this bedroom, am I going to get cold at night? So let me show you what we would play on this. So I'm going to manually trigger this, like I mentioned, as opposed to it triggering when we walked in the room. But take a listen on an example of what we would use on this sensor.
One of the main concerns with the property of this age is, am I going to be cold during the winter? Well, you are in luck. The property owners have already blown in additional insulation in the exterior walls. They have blown in additional insulation in the attic, as well as winterized many elements of the property.
All right, let's go in here and take a look at another sensor. We might as well go ahead and talk about this one that's on the mantle here, because it is kind of the same as that one in the fact that this is a generic topic. Now, in the living room, there's tons of stuff to look at. This house is super unique, has tons of characteristic to it, has original or super old light fixtures, intricate floors, wonderful trim. People are going to be focused on all of that, and a lot of people are going to be forgetting about what's above them, which is the roof. So this is a wonderful example to be able to give a message about the roof. So let me go ahead and manually trip that, and you guys can listen to what that has to say.
You may have already discovered that this property has a new roof, but what you may not know is that the homeowners actually upgraded the roof to an impact-resistant shingle. That is a fantastic feature for you because you are far less likely to experience damage in hailstorms. And an added bonus is that you may want to check with your insurance carrier because several insurance companies actually offer a substantial discount for your yearly premium.
All right. Now let's travel to the bathroom of the property, and I'll discuss something here with you. So this is another topic that I kind of call a little bit of a pro tip. This bathroom does not have anything specific that we want to highlight with one of our sensors. So I'm going to not put a sensor in here. Now, if there was something that you wanted to highlight, that would be wonderful. Go ahead and do it. However, since there's nothing that we really want to do, I would not put one of the generic statements like the roof, like the insulation statement in here. And think about that. If I put a sensor in here, what's going to happen? The husband's going to walk in here, the wife's going to walk in here, the realtor's probably going to walk in here. Now you have 3 people standing in this small bathroom, which will give the perception that this is a small bathroom. They may not even think about that, but now you have just driven home the fact that this is a little bit small because it's going to be crowded. So if you want to put one in here to reference something, absolutely do it. But I would not put just a generic one in a small space, basically. So let's go ahead and travel in to the next bedroom here, and I'm going to discuss how to tell the story about a property. Now, this is another place that we can set the sensor. This isn't my preference. I don't necessarily like to set a sensor on the floor, but if you don't want to attach it to the wall, you don't want to set it somewhere else, you most certainly could set it right there. This is another one that's kind of like a generic statement where it's not specific to this room, but this is the story of the property. And telling the story is so important. That stuff sticks with people. They can relate to it. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I was actually visiting with a realtor friend of mine last night, and we were talking about the systems, and she told me a story about a property that she had that was owned by 2 astronauts. Just tremendous stories, tremendous history in this property. I mean, they had flight simulators in the basement. They had all kinds of spacesuits in the closet, everything. However, all of that was moved out prior to putting the property up for sale. And people would love to hear that, but they didn't get a chance to even know that unless she conveyed it. And she actually even mentioned to me that it was tremendous when she did have the opportunity to convey it to potential buyers, but many times she didn't. And in fact, the one she closed fell in love with the astronaut stories. She wished that she could have conveyed that to everybody. She knew that she would sell the property much faster. Another example of this property is in Old Colorado City. And I didn't even know this, and I've lived here for many years. There's tons of tunnels around this neighborhood. And Old Colorado City was kind of the rowdy town compared to Colorado Springs. They're sitting right next to each other, but back in the day, back in the gold mining days, you moved to Colorado Springs to put your nice house with your family, but when you wanted a good time, you came to Old Colorado City. That's where all the bars were, the saloons, all of the gambling. The tunnels were to escape if there are raids on gambling, and those are all over town. Now, that's not, or all over this neighborhood. That's not necessarily specific to this house, but it is to this neighborhood. And if you're moving to this town, that is something unique that you will remember about this property. That's something unique that you'd like to tell your friends when they come to visit you. Anything like that, but tell the story. If you have a story, tell it, because that's one of the things that really resonates with people and they absolutely love. Let's go on and take a look at another sensor. Now, as we move into the dining room, I am going to show you a sensor that is located specifically next to something that we want to discuss. And right here, this is my favorite window of the entire property. And I know you won't be able to see this on the video. In fact, I have taken so many pictures of this trying to get it just to send it to my wife to show her how amazing this window looks. I know that you won't be able to see this, but this is original glass to the property that is insanely wavy. And I'll try and upload a picture and show you just the unique shadows that it casts on the wall when the sunlight's running through here. Unfortunately, it's super overcast today, so you don't get to see that. But this is original glass, and every single window in this property has this glass. It's so unique that I started looking it up, and I found out tremendous information about it. And so I'll go ahead and play the file for this and allude to it a little bit more. But again, the motion sensor's right here. This time I'm setting this one right next to something that I want people to see as we're talking about it. So let me go ahead and play that file for you.
There are several cool things to notice about all the windows in this property. Every single one of them still open. They all have the pulley and sash weights in them. And every one of them has the old school original glass. If you take a look at this is actually my favorite window in the entire property. Look at how wavy it is. Now, you may or may not know this, but back in 1890, when these houses were built, they actually blew this glass by mouth and then flattened it prior to installing it.
All right, let's go take a look at a sensor in the kitchen. So as you enter into this kitchen, you are going to notice that there's new appliances. I mean, anybody can open this up. Nobody has a microwave that's this clean. It's absolutely clean. Everybody knows that it's brand new. Anybody may have looked on the MLS listing to know that it has new appliances. You may have read it on Zillow. You may have seen it on a flyer. It's obvious. There are new appliances in here. But what you don't know, and this is the thing that I was mentioning outside about what's not readily apparent, that we can highlight things that are not readily apparent, is the fact that obviously there are new appliances, but what you don't know as a buyer coming or potential buyer coming in is that the homeowners have actually upgraded and purchased a 5-year extended warranty on each one of these appliances, and they have created a packet to you. It's transferable to you. So it's just an added bonus to this property. Not only are you getting new appliances, but you're also getting an additional 5-year warranty on these. That's a tremendous asset to me. Something that somebody would not know just coming in, looking at the appliances. And so let me go ahead and play just a quick example of that. Again, this time I set the sensor on the countertop, but we can move it around. I mean, it can stick anywhere that you want, however you would like to do it. This one I have sitting on the counter. Let me play you an example of this file.
I'm sure you have noticed these amazing new appliances, but what you can't see is the fact that the homeowners have actually purchased 5-year extended warranties for each one of these appliances that are completely transferable to you upon closing.
All right, so while we're in the kitchen, let's go ahead and discuss something else because we are right next to this. Another question you may have had while looking at our website or watching this video is, how do we handle properties without internet? Now, obviously, our devices need internet to communicate, and many homeowners do not occupy the house that you have listed. Not a problem. You can rent hotspots from us on our website. Super simple to install, provides internet to the property, allows all of our devices to function. Another thing about our devices while we're discussing this, we have extreme range with our sensors. So you don't have to be located close to the hub. This is the hub. This is what is communicating with each one of our sensors and relaying it to our tablet. These sensors can go about it absolutely as far as you need. Where that is beneficial is if you have a property with basements, multiple levels, and if you have a large property with a barn or an outhouse or a shed or a shop or anything like that, as you walk around, it will still function for you. Another great thing about all of our sensors and our entire system is it's super simple. You may think that it's a little bit overbearing, but we have streamlined it. Trust me, the complicated parts on the back of the scene, and we take care of all of that. It's very simple for you to install. If you're choosing to be the one to install, you go, plug the stuff in, connect a few things, and then basically you're ready to go. We have very simple instructions for you. If that's not enough, then we have instructional videos that are actually preloaded on the tablet, so you're able to watch the video and We will walk you right through the steps. If you need additional help, call one of our associates. We can do that. Prior to me saying, or I should have said something prior to me making that statement about it being super simple and you not having to be an expert with a computer whiz, basically, is the fact that we offer two systems on, or two packages on our website. One is more of a DIY setup, and one is more of a full encompassing package where we take care of it for you. The DIY setup is you actually create the audio files. It's very simple. Once you create an account on our website and make a purchase, then you're able to upload your own files directly through our website. You can walk around the property, speak them into your phone. They're uploaded into our website, and then we program them on the back side. We ship everything to you, or you come pick it up from us, and then you come to the property and install that. That's the cheaper package. That's kind of the DIY package. For a little bit higher of a fee, we can take care of all of that. We can create the files for us. You just type out what you want us to say, or we might speak with the homeowners. We will work with you to see what the best way is to get the information for the property. We will do the recordings. Then one of our associates will come to the property if they're in your geographical location and install the system for you. Now, if you are not living in an area or working in an area where we have associates, then we can mail these systems to you. And here's another great thing. If we send you, let's say, we're in Colorado and you're in Kansas, and you order a system, one of our setups from us online. We send it to you, you upload the files, we send the whole system to you, you install it, works great, you love it, you wanted it to go into your next property. You don't actually have to send the setup back to us to reprogram. We can log in remotely from Colorado Springs and send it directly to you, and the new files to you, and boom, they're set up to go to the next house. And when you sell that house super fast, you just let us know what the new files are going to be, and then you pay again, and then we are able to set it up there. But it just saves a lot of work for you switching back and forth between the properties. But if you look at our packages on the website, there will be additional information along those lines. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last sensor in the basement. Now, this sensor that we're going to use here is kind of multifaceted. This thing is going to have, one of the questions that everybody has, and this one isn't too unique. A lot of times people know this pretty quick off the top of their head, and that's the age of the hot water heater, the furnace, the AC, anything like that. So that's not extremely special here, but it never hurts to highlight it because these homeowners here actually just installed this 3 years ago. And so it's great to have a sensor to talk about that, as well as what I really like doing with this sensor is every single time somebody has entered into this property, they have wondered what this hatch door is right here. So instead of sending them away curious, turn it into a positive and let them know right here. So let me go ahead and play this audio file, and you'll be able to see exactly what it's going to play, or what it says.
There's a couple of key features to note while you're in this basement. First is that the hot water heater and furnace are not even 3 years old. Second is, are you as curious as everybody else is what's behind this hatch door that the sensor is actually attached to? Well, this is an extra large crawl space. There's some wonderful benefits with that. You or a licensed professional will be able to easily access plumbing and electrical and various other elements of the property to repair them in the event that you ever need to.
Now, let's go back upstairs out of the basement, and we'll discuss a couple other key features of our audio enhanced showing system. All right, so one of the last things that I want to talk to you about is actually one of my favorites, and that is humor. This is something that we get to apply in our system that I actually love. Now, it may not be the right scenario for you. You may be listing a property, $3 million property, and the clients don't want it, or you may just have clients that don't like it, or it's not your style. But most of the time, I really like having humor in there, and you have the option on the website to click out of humor if you don't want it. But let me tell you the benefit of that. If you look at any research, it all states that when humor is used appropriately, there are tremendous benefits. It brings defenses down, it puts people in a positive attitude, it opens their minds, it gives them the ability to retain information much better, and that is a tremendous asset for us. So, we might add in a couple of jokes, we might have a little fun with that entry video, just nothing crazy, but just a little bit to put a smile on their face. And let me tell you give you one example where that might be extremely beneficial. Curb appeal, curb appeal, curb appeal. There's a reason why they say that. How many times have you pulled up to a house and it had terrible curb appeal, and your clients, as you're walking in with your clients, they have a bad taste in their mouth when they walk into that property, and all they're thinking about is this house looks like garbage on the outside. That is already a strike against you. We need to turn that around and not make that a strike. So as they enter in, when they pick up our system, we might hit them with a joke. We might put a smile on their face. All of a sudden, they're not thinking about the negative outside. Now we just turned it into a positive and got them back on track for you. Now, there's another thing that I'd like to mention. You may have already seen this on our website, but that's the ability to actually play our files in multiple languages. Now, we primarily focus in Spanish just because that's the most popularly requested language. However, we can do just about anything that you would like. And in that scenario is you pay an additional fee and we translate the audio files. And what would happen when you're walking through the property is when you're carrying the tablet and you trip a motion sensor, it is first going to play the English file, and then immediately when that's done, it will play the Spanish file or whatever language that you're doing. That's a great feature. We are completely customizable. We know that not all properties are the same. I mean, not all the clients are the same, not all the realtors are the same, houses certainly aren't the same, markets aren't the same. There are so many variables. We tried to make this as customizable as possible. If you get your system and it just doesn't fit, some timing's off, something's a little bit off, give us a shout. We can adjust it remotely for you. We want it to be the perfect fit for you. If you win, we win, and that's what we're here for. Crush your competition with our services. Sorry this was a super long video. I hope that I covered a lot of your questions for you. If you have additional questions, do not hesitate to contact us. We want to be able to answer all of your questions. Thank you.